Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Friday, October 13th. We're going to take a look at Palantir today. So I've been keeping an eye on Palantir. I've been wondering if I might be able to get a dip buy if it continues to look good, but we'll see. I'd want to make sure that it's dipping in the right areas, which I can point out more as we flip over to the Think or Swim study. But here, I wanted to take a look. I haven't actually tried this yet. See if there's a little trend line developing here. Maybe this is something, right? So this would be a potential something that I would look at for a dip buy even if it comes down and sort of loses this 1696 level. If it held this uptrend support, that could be interesting to me. But we'll just have to see. But otherwise, these levels are holding up pretty well, through the motion so far. We have a lot more levels up here above 19. But even the ones that we have in the interim are doing a pretty good job. Just wanted to see if there's anything else. Maybe a level forming here around 1735 or so. But nothing I'm going to worry about cluttering the chart with at the moment. I'm happy with sort of how spread out these are. But want to also, make sure that we grab additional levels if they become relevant and clear. But we'll hold off for the time being. Uptrend support is, well worth putting on the chart at this point, I think, to see if it can hold it, especially, like I said, if it continues to dip, or even if it doesn't dip that much more but kind of has some sideways action and struggles with that $18 level. Eventually it'll bump into that anyway and give a support test there as well. We zoom into the 10-minute to see how these levels are holding up intraday. It does leave the intraday pretty scarce with having so few levels on the chart. Ooh, that goes crazy. But we see it's just sort of been, for the last few days at least, struggling with that $18 level that we talked about. And then, coming down here today, 1727 being the low, so we don't have another level down here until just below 17. Probably acts a little bit more like the psychological $17 level than exactly 1696, but we can see how that takes shape if it stretches down there. But like I said, it does kind of leave it a bit barren in the intraday, but you can always fill those in, or do something like this and take a look at the EMAs. The EMAs here would have told you, hey, bearish crossover right here. And then it just is trapped under the 8s, obviously very bearish. And when it tries to run, it made a run up to the 34 EMA on the first attempt, but pushed right off. And then on the second attempt, it wasn't even able to make it to the 34. It got pushed off at the 21. So definitely some pretty strong bearish momentum there throughout the day today. We'll see if that carries into next week or sort of what comes of that. Now, flipping over. Hey folks, just so you know, you can get these videos early and ad-free. If you click on the description below and become a member, you can make that happen, and I really appreciate the support. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of the video. Or swim study. We see a couple of interesting things here before we get to the channel. We had some triggering that went on back here, and then a nice fire that gave us the big move from the bottom of the channel up through the top of the channel. So I'm interested to see how that continues to play out. We still see here on the histogram, the extent to which this continues to play out, there's plenty of room for the bullish momentum to continue to pick up, and it still has it rising at the moment. So we'll see if that continues to take shape or if that really dies off. As you see here, it can die off pretty quickly. There are some that have obviously more sustained runs. This was quite a different situation though than we're seeing at the moment. That was a lot of time outside the channel. But then, like I said, it can have some minor blips on the histogram. That's a very minor blip on the histogram. So this is already larger than that, and we'll see how it takes shape. This is the 180 to 200 EMA cloud down here. So if it did come and push all the way through the lower bound of the channel, which would put it, at least for now, into the 14s, so it'd be quite a big shift. That's down there to potentially provide additional support if it slips out of the channel. But that's quite far off if it does. In the meantime, the dip that I'd be looking for on here is for it to come down and try to test the mid-range of that channel. Right now, sitting at about 1627, but that changes every time a candle gets put in. So that's not going to be where it is, at the end of the day on Monday and Tuesday and so on and so forth. So if it continues to pull into the channel, I'd be really interested to see what it does when it tests the mid-range there. And, this is what we would expect anyway, because it pushed itself out of the upper bound of the channel. And whenever it leaves the channel, we look for it to re-enter. And when it does re-enter, we look to see if it comes to test the mid-range. So we'll see. If it doesn't and it continues to ride high, folks that are already in, congrats. I'm not going to chase. So, yeah, but that's mostly what I'm looking for at the moment. That's what's of interest to me. But to me, this is not a big deal of a sell-off for the time being. But we'll see what it does now that it's in the channel. It could obviously become problematic, as we've seen in the past. So you never know. But I'm hoping that this was a decent double bottom down here. But who knows? You have earnings coming up and all this stuff, sooner than later. And those things can just be big movers and shakers as a catalyst, not to mention just sort of like the macro influence as well. All right, folks, I hope that you had a nice trading week and that you enjoy your weekend. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.